Let me tell you a story about this picture. Sometime around 2014, 2015, I had returned from medical school and I was doing my photography on the side. And I got contacted by the leader of this group, that is Obed. And he said he likes the work that I do and he wants us to shoot something for his group. They're called Preachers. So we talked a bit and I was like, let me think about it. Let me get some few ideas. So they had this catchphrase anytime they sang, they had this catchphrase that said, right? So at that time, I was known to enjoy taking pictures of me jumping. So I thought, what if we had them do the same jump shot, holding Bibles, looking up in there while I was reading, as a group. And I thought that would be a really cool picture. So we planned it out and we decided we're going to have the shoot at the Trade Fair Center because they had these silos of spaces that was big and empty and we could shoot that. And with the nature of how I wanted the lights and everything to look, it had to be shot at night. So I contacted my brother-in-law who contacted his friend who knew a friend that worked at the Trade Fair Center in Accra. And he said, oh, we could go into one of the pavilions. I think that was Pavilion C or something. So we got in there, we started shooting and, we had a smoke machine, we had our lights and everything, we're doing the shoot. And then about halfway through the shoot, we see some people coming towards us with a bit of commotion. They come inside there, they're talking and saying, hey, who told you to come and shoot here and all that stuff. And before we could even answer, they locked the pavilion. Right? So they lock us inside and we are there shooting. And I'm like, we're trying to tell them that, we have permission. We spoke to this guy and everything, and they still wouldn't hear us. So in my mind, I'm like, do I have the shot or not? You know what? You locked us inside. We're cool. Let's still keep shooting. So we continue shooting until we got the shot that we needed and several other shots. So along the line, the commotion was still going on. And then they came back. I called the guy that gave us the permission to be there and so on and so forth. They came and then they opened up. They were saying that we were smoking weed in that space. You know why? Because of the smoke machine. So the smoke machine was going out of the pavilion. And mind you, this is an open space. It's just a silo, like a closed space. But it's huge on the inside with a bed. If you've been to the Trade Fair Center, you know what I'm talking about. So they saw the smoke coming out. They're saying these guys are there. They're smoking weed, and we gotta, arrest them. So these guys basically are saying they're arresting us. Mind you, they are not police. They are just the security of the place, right? And I'm like, we've explained everything to you. So why are you behaving that way? Now, if you've lived in Ghana, you know why. So back and forth, Obed's dad came through. I think he was a police officer at that time. So he came through and he explained that they're just taking pictures and all that until they calmed down. But the level of commotion and the lies that they told on us and the things that they said we're doing in there was crazy. Now, when I look back at that, I'm thinking about how these little stories shaped me as a photographer growing up, right? And what lessons I learned from that. First off, I think the biggest lesson for me was to make sure I seek the right permission, which I did, but it just didn't involve enough people for them to be able to say, yeah, we know him, he's cool over here. I hope that makes sense. So the person that worked there that we got the permission from was technically above them, but the security people over there were not fully informed. And so that is the reason why they said that, we're not supposed to be there and fabricating all these stories, on us. The details and the drama behind it was crazy. I'm sure if the members of the team see this, and they will definitely respond. You can read that in the comments. But for me, that was a defining moment of my shoot in Ghana, especially on the outside. To be honest with you, coming from China, that you could step out and shoot freely and people would actually come and watch what you're doing, to shooting in Ghana where you had to grease somebody, you had to take care of somebody, you had to appease somebody before you can shoot outside in peace. That just threw me off. So I really did not enjoy shooting outside anymore, and that's the truth. So if you look through some of my work, most of the time you find me in the studio. This is because, again, the hassle of shooting outside in Ghana was just too mentally draining for me, and I really did not enjoy that at all. So I would only go outside if I had all the right permissions, all the right things. I still did shots outside, mostly around my house, because I knew the people there. I could talk my way around there, and sometimes I didn't even need to talk to anybody. But going to like key places, important places in Ghana to shoot, the bureaucracy and the people that you had to talk to and appease and speak to, it was crazy. But granted, there were some places that you just speak to one person and you're good. If you've seen my Independence Arc picture, we just walked up there, went straight to the security guy. He said, yeah, you can shoot, but blah blah blah. We shot. We didn't have to grease him. Good guy. We got the shot and many other shots. But this is one of the stories that shaped me as a photographer and what I ended up shooting. So I invested more in my studio and, took my time to hone my studio skills. But aside that, shooting outside has always been fun because there's a whole lot of dynamics to it and I still enjoy that. But that is a story that I want to tell to upcoming ones who, especially in Ghana, to be aware of this situation in Ghana. I'm sure you've experienced it already, but don't let it stop you. It would shape you, but don't let it stop you from shooting what you want to shoot. And it would help make you a better photographer at the end of the day. So this is a story. And if you like this series, I may do more stories that shaped me as a photographer. Thanks for listening.